Today is November 3rd, 2023. Nice sunny day. We still got some good fall foliage. All the orange you're seeing right now is oak trees. Everything else has lost its leaves. That's all I'm seeing now is oak. It's now 39 degrees. Pretty chilly. This is the first time of year that it's actually staying in the 30s every day consistently. Last night I had about an inch of snow. It'll probably be gone by the end of the week. So right now we are approaching a place that beavers caused a bunch of problems. The last time we were out here, the beavers had been relocated. I want to see if it's still a problem or not, because that was a big beaver swamp. They were even elevating the water on the downside of the culvert pipe, backing it up more towards the road. So that area definitely had a lot of the beavers. So I'm curious if anything has come back or not. We're gonna find out. Someone's there in my parking spot, so we'll just park at the far end of the swamp. There's another parking spot, and we'll go take a little walk on down here. So here's the culverts that the beavers are always plugging up right here. Looking at the water, can't really tell if it's elevated or anything's clogged. It's definitely not high up near the road like it's been years past. It's 2 feet below the highest I've ever seen it, so I doubt anything's going on. But I'm gonna stop for a minute and we're gonna take a little walk down there. Just stop right here and we're gonna go for a walk. All right, everyone. The first thing I'm noticing that is gonna be a huge problem for the DOT, and I predict it might even be a problem for them in the winter, as is. So over here, there's been problems over the years with this water getting up here to the road and probably crossing. I've never actually seen it crossing. I've just seen it pretty close. But the concerning thing is on this side of the road, look how deep the water is. Yeah, I was noticing this throughout the summer, even throughout the spring. Every single time I came here to unclog those pipes, the first time I ever unclogged those pipes was early this spring. When I unclogged it, the water was going through the pipe and pouring down into the water. And over the summer, the water in the side kept going up and up to now it's not even pouring, it's just coming out of the pipe. This is the highest I've ever seen it on this side, which tells me there might still be beavers active. Somewhere down here in the end of this open area, there's a beaver dam. I've never seen it, I just know it exists, because that's the only thing that would be bringing this water up in this area. So we're gonna see if there's anything up here. This side of the road's not elevated at all, but I do think the beaver still exists there. Now that we're going up a little bit, you see the water's down a bit, but back there where it's almost matching the level of the road, the water table under the road is certainly higher. And if it's within, I'd say 3 feet or so, where Massachusetts freeze line is usually about 3 feet or so. If it's cold stretch of weather, ground's gonna freeze down to where the water is, freeze that, expand. It's gonna start ruining the road, lifting it up as the water beneath the road freezes, expanding. Here we got a culvert pipe. Seems to be working well. Gonna cross over, take a look at it. Just trying to find it. There it is. Doesn't appear to be a blockage, and yeah, that water's low. See how I'm actually standing on top of the culvert pipe? It's just a small one. It's not blocked. That water's pretty cold. Yeah, there's been times this pipe has been super duper underwater. Take a look at this guardrail. This was probably the snowplow over a little too far, or maybe it was someone's car, which is super dangerous. See this guardrail? Something rode on it like a track. These type of guardrails are now illegal because if someone hits it, it'll flip them over. It's supposed to have a compression stop at the end. Yeah, matter of fact, every piece of this guardrail to today's standards is out of date and severely dangerous. I'm seeing so many code violations now on this guardrail that I've never even really looked at before. First off, that guardrail's too low to protect you. Most of the poles are smashed. They don't have compression blocks anymore. Take a look at that. There's no compression blocks on there, which is a problem if you hit it. It also has a square washer. If someone hits this, this is gonna act like a knife and tear it, and you'll just go through it without any protection at all. Yeah, the whole road is slipping here. See that? It's all eroded because this water was high up. You can also see a lot of the lily pads. You see how their stems seem a little bit too long? As the water level rises slowly from the beavers, their stems will grow to accommodate the deeper water. And when it goes back down, now they're left with longer stems until the next season. Yeah, this guardrail is really destroyed. It's sitting way too low. Now, I know up north, New Hampshire, Maine, their guardrails are super up to date. They replaced so many of them that I noticed over the past couple of years. And here's another one, see this? If someone goes over here, they're just gonna ride up this until it flips them over. Never noticed that kind of stuff at this place and how bad it was. And this one here, I'm assuming this was probably the snowplow that did this. Look at the pole. And it's been like that for a while. They're not even touching it or anything. Nothing. It's not going to protect anyone. In fact, it's more dangerous. It's probably more dangerous at even existing than not existing. Now over here, the first time I came out here, there was a bunch of grass here, a bunch of grass over here. The water keeps getting deeper and deeper. The first time I came out here, these were pouring. The water is now over 2 feet deeper than the first time I ever came out. The first time I came out, I was able to stand out in here. I actually set the camera up somewhere here, fairly close to these pipes. It's now underwater. This whole place is 2 feet deeper than it once was. I do expect a lot of these little bushes and shrubs in the marsh to die out from the higher water, turn more into a grassland since the beavers rose it up. Seems to be flowing pretty good today though. Let's go take a little look on this side. Last time they had a live catch beaver trap here, but they had it set up in a very suspicious way where it probably would have held the beaver underwater. So that was reported to the EPA, who was actually awesome for taking care of the beaver problems. I learned to call them and it's usually resolved fast. So there's no blockage here from the beavers at all. There's just a little bit of grass being held up here from the grate. The only reason the grate's here is because of the beavers. Everything you see here would have gone through naturally without a single problem. It's just the beavers that are the problem here. So I'm not gonna get my rake or anything. I'm just gonna do it by hand right here. We got a lot of dangerous pieces of metal the DOT left. Just sitting on down like this, down on my chest. Just do it by hand, by reaching. Simple. Can even let a lot of it pass them through. See a lot of acorns and things. I love blockages like this, where it's a bunch of leaves and as you're tearing it apart. Well, I love when there's a big amount of them just sitting on the water in front of it and it just sucks them in. It's so satisfying to watch. In fact, we're not that far from the Triangular Great Culvert. My all-time favorite unclogging video was there, and there was red and orange maple leaves covering the entire surface of the pond. And when I unclogged the culvert, it sucked it all in, clearing the surface of the water. That was so cool doing that. So here, what I'm doing is not really much. This is just preventative maintenance. If I had the big high boots on, I would have got down in there. Yeah, you see now we just created a current. Most of the current before was under the water. But now that we created the current, it's gonna suck everything on the surface back over here and just clog it up again. Let's try to get it. Yeah, look at that, it's already plugged again. How long was that? It's just leaves though. Now this is a fresh chewed thing by the beavers, but how fresh? It could be a couple months old, and just it sitting in the water is making it look super duper fresh. Yeah, none of this was placed by the beavers. I see so many sticks and debris on the bottom of the water that they easily could have just pushed here with their feet. They could have easily smeared mud all over this grate. Yeah, I had that other side clear pretty well, but it's just gonna keep coming and coming. We will come back to this one at some point, hopefully in early winter before there's too much ice. This could be frozen even in a few weeks if it becomes a very cold winter. Or sometimes in Massachusetts it just stays warm. That's how it is. When I lived in Mass, I can only remember maybe 2 winters that were severely cold where the rivers froze enough to actually walk on them. It's not common here, but it is common in northern Maine. I'll be back for this one in like a month. Hopefully it'll be pretty clogged and there'll be nothing else to just float on over to it. Massachusetts has always been a pretty bad state when it comes to infrastructure. Now I'm noticing something else. So behind this large square washer is a slot. And you see from it getting hit by things, it slid. So now the holes don't even line up. Yeah, they're missing 8 bolts. They are missing 16 bolts. This one slid. Look at that. You can even see how it slid. This one doesn't have the dangerous washer. That's how it should be, exactly what you see there without the washer. But look how many things are missing. Missing that it wouldn't have deformed like this if they weren't missing. Something hit that one. It was probably the backhoe unclogging the culvert. They got another 4 of them missing. No, another 8 of them missing there. This one has them all. This one has them all. This one has them all. All right, so it's just that little spot down there for some reason. They ran out and didn't think it was important enough to come out with those bolts. So now the guardrail can't do what it's properly supposed to. Back in the summer, when I was showing everyone how the triangular grate culvert was over 8 feet underwater, underneath a gigantic flood, the road was invisible for most of the summer, 8 feet under the water. Well, I also showed this section of road, which they had to recently rebuild. This was completely washed out because of the beavers. The beavers had gone ahead and plugged this pipe, plugged that pipe. Look on down there. It's pretty plugged again. Even that beaver deceiver is completely jammed, but it's still functioning for the time being. Those branches still have leaves on it. Beavers are very active, but somebody, maybe the DOT, I doubt it's the DOT. It's just some random person doing it.
In 1,000 feet, make a U-turn.
Because they would have taken it away if it was the DOT. This was also completely washed out. The whole road was washed out. If you take a look in the swamp, all that right there that's the old road. The old road completely washed out. They had to put a brand new culvert pipe in. I don't know what this pile's for. Maybe they just had to recently excavate it or do something. I'm not seeing a clog at the moment, but this is the importance of leaving these pipes open. So these are secondary flow pipes. If those ones I just showed you there get completely clogged, the water will rise up and go through these and hopefully save the road. But the beavers will get to it eventually. And if there's a huge storm, that's not going to be able to take over for those really, really big pipes. People always, well, it's not everyone. It's like a few comments, but I'm always seeing comments saying, unclogging culvert pipes, draining back the beaver pond is destroying the environment. Well, what do you have to say to all this sediment of the road pushed out all over the swamp? The road's just gone. Imagine if this was an asphalt road, what a mess it would be. Road crew's not going to go in the swamp and pick that up. All right, everyone. Right now we're pulling up on another area that the Massachusetts DOT put a beaver deceiver in a couple months ago. It failed. They rebuilt it, but with the same exact issues that caused it to fail the first time. We're going to see what it's doing right now. If there isn't a problem, it means they probably got rid of the beavers. It's not flooded. Yeah, they had to have got rid of these beavers. I'll show you out the side. There's not much traffic. If a car comes, I'll start moving again. Yeah, so what you see here, for years I was unclogging this grate, which you see they have a whole beaver dam around it. That would take a long time to tear apart now, it got so bad. But they have a bypass culvert. They cut that grate open, and they have this steel pipe going in there, going out to the beaver deceiver. Point of the beaver deceiver is they have a circle big enough that the beaver can't tell the water's flowing towards it, so they don't clog it. The thing is, that beaver deceiver is too small. Beavers can tell, and they'll clog up all around it. There's a little bit of debris around it. Might be from the beavers, maybe not. I'm thinking they relocated it because I think this would have been a lot worse otherwise. That thing over there shouldn't have had a diameter of that's maybe 3 feet. It should have been more like 8. And also the bypass probably should have been bigger too, because that's not going to be able to handle the storm water. It's literally a 6-inch pipe that you're seeing down there heading out there. That's not enough. 6 inches? No, definitely not. That's going to cause big problems. And also, a small beaver can certainly get through those holes and clog the pipe itself, not just around the structure. So this was a failed project. Originally, that beaver deceiver was right here, only a couple feet away from the grate. Then they moved it out there for some reason, but the same problem will occur. I think the beavers are gone, honestly. This water's been down for a while, I can tell, by the grass growing down to the water level. Never would I have thought that they would be removing beavers in this area, since it's a wildlife reserve area. But they do allow hunting in here, so yeah. I've just seen other areas, they will work with the beaver to extreme extents that I've never seen anywhere else. They will work with the beavers building structures. The beavers mess them up and they just keep building structures over and over. The road gets pushed out, they rebuild it, put a new structure. This is the first time in this area I've ever seen them actually probably move the beaver, because that would be a problem if the beaver wasn't moved. I'm amazed that there's nothing going on right there as far as the beavers. So I wonder if the triangular grate that we're going to be coming up upon in a few minutes will be there. This is new. I've never seen this fence before. It looks like it's all scratched up, so they were handling that gate rough with the excavator, or it's reused from somewhere else. Never seen that gate there before. Maybe they installed that in case this road is ever 8 feet underwater again. They don't have to close literally the whole area off. They'll be able to just isolate this one road. Yeah, the reason it was 8 feet underwater is because Massachusetts had a huge amount of rain that hasn't been seen in many years this year. And they had to use a retention dam. A retention dam is only to stop huge amounts of water in the river from going down and flooding towns and cities. So they closed the dam, backed it up, flooding it in huge amount of forest and all kinds of roads to protect further downstream. And then once the rain was done, they slowly released it. So this road was 8 feet underwater for 2 months. And based on the vegetation, no time in recent history had they ever used the dam to that extent. It was so underwater. It's hunting season. That's why we're probably seeing so many cars out here. I've never seen so many cars parked on the side of these roads before. It's hunting season. That's probably what it is. Deer season's right now. Moose season just ended last Friday. Here we are approaching the triangular grate. This whole area was underwater for 2 months. You can probably already see we're entering the water line right now. There's stains on all the trees where the water was sitting. Yeah, it killed all vegetation below like 8 feet on everything. You can see water staining on this big tree next to me. The grass grew back to a good extent. It looks like we have a little bit of a blockage, but a flood, it reshaped the land everywhere. This whole land is reshaping from it. Let's get out and have a look at it, see if it'll do anything. Pretty nice day. The water line's not very noticeable now, but my last video to location, all the trees only had leaves above 8 feet. If we look down here, you can still see it. See the water line on all the trees, even across the road too. I don't think the beavers are here anymore, honestly. That's their lodge, which was completely underwater for 2 months. I think it drove them out. I don't think we'll see the beavers here again for a while. I think that flood displaced them severely. I think it did. Down here, there was another little beaver dam right around here. It's gone. I see an abandoned beaver lodge I never even noticed before. Down there, I used to zoom in and show you guys a giant beaver dam at the end of the swamp all the time, and right now, I'm not seeing it. The beaver dam is gone. That used to hold this up even deeper. I don't see it anymore. I think that flood relocated them all. There was a tree line here along the edge of the road. I don't see it anymore. See all these clumps of grass? That type of grass, when it floods, it floats. These giant clumps float on the top of the water, and they're all random spots throughout the woods. Right there. It just placed them wherever. Here's some debris we took out last time. We don't have beavers anymore. Not a single piece of that debris is from the beavers. None of it. That's a bittersweet vine. I thought it was twisted metal at first, like barbed wire. I'm not seeing anything. Wow. Thinking about if I'm even going to do it or not, because usually I do it as preventative maintenance to stop this road from flooding. But that's not going to get any worse because it's not the beavers doing it. That's just debris that floated on over. I think I'm going to get the big high boots and let's do it. Got this square hole right here. We got this square hole right here. The stabilizers on the back on a backhoe. So they had the machine here and reaching over probably to lift it out. That's how easily they do it. They're using a backhoe, not an excavator. I can tell by the stabilizers they got right there. All right, everyone. We just got camera number 2 out, and camera number 2's going. Just putting on my gloves. I gotta put my insulated gloves in the truck if we're gonna start doing this now, because it's winter. Look at that gigantic area of just slime or suds. That's created by agitated water with a lot of organic oils and stuff in it. Rotting, decaying stuff. Being stirred up right there. See those little bubbles coming out? They're all collecting there over the course of months. That stuff's really cool to touch when it becomes frozen, the suds. It's kind of cool. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and unclog this. Without the beavers, I'm kind of amazed how much is actually here. So maybe a lot of that work the beavers used to do, they were just reinforcing it, because it was always mixed with stuff that they put there, and I've even seen them clogging in one day. Yeah, I actually haven't been here in like a month, and I have no idea how often the DOT actually does this. This is the coldest one I've done yet this season. But like always, every time I've ever done this in the winter with bare hands, it's numbing. It's very cold. My fingers are hurting and numbing now, but in like 5 minutes, my body will send more blood there to warm myself up. Then I can just go in there for like twice as long the second time. That's usually how I work. So we just got that side open most of the way. You saw me struggling with a few big sticks down inside there. The grate was placed down on top of a couple of bigger things I had to squeeze out from beneath it. The water's so clear. We're surrounded by mostly pine trees, so I don't even know where that would have came from years ago when the whole surface was covered in maple leaves. I don't know, maybe far downstream or upstream. There's a good amount of maples, but I don't see how that could have happened here. Everything you see there is a bunch of pine needles. All right, just like the first place we visited today, the undertow is going to bring more stuff over, but this surface is clear. Anything that comes over now will be down the road, not immediate. So we got that good. If you saw right there, I was struggling at the very tip of the triangle, trying to get that out of there. I think the excavator must have slammed it down on that, because that is wedged in there so good, that one log. That's not coming out. I even tried to move the entire structure so I could do it better. There was one video, I tipped the entire thing over, cleaned up the bottom there, flipped it the other way, cleaned up the bottom so it would sit perfectly. If you can tell, the entire structure is leaning to the right and it's leaning to the far end out into the pond because the bottom of it isn't correct. I think whoever lifted it up, cleaned it off, placed it back down in the water without cleaning up the pond bed. So it's not sitting correctly now, and I absolutely cannot move it. There's so much mud and debris caked onto it. We got some sticks over here floating that we just let through. That is a lot of water compared to before. we did get it flowing a good amount. I didn't even feel like I just did that much, but it makes a huge difference with water. When I set up camera number 2 this time, I wouldn't have been able to walk here a couple months ago. That flood is what, it reshaped the whole land. You see these lumps I'm walking on? These were never here. These are clumps of grass that were placed upside down by the water and all that kind of stuff. Nice and pretty out. That was very cold, even going back in for the second time. But now, finally now, I'm feeling the blood pumping. Now I could go back in if I find another one on my trips today. Now I would be in the clear to do them. So that's how I am. If I flood my big high boots, I'm so cold for like 10 minutes. Once my body heats up that water in there, no new water is going to be replacing that. It's like a wetsuit now. I already warmed up that water and it's not being replaced very much. So I usually have these insulated, waterproof orange gloves for winter time, and once I get them filled with water, it's pretty cold, but once I warm them up, the water's not being really replaced anymore and they stay pretty warm once I get them warmed up for the first time. Well, we did increase the flow a lot. We increased it even enough that if we look on over here, the suds, we just washed away most of the suds. Most of the suds are gone, and I look out into the swamp, I don't see the suds anywhere. We just basically mixed it all back into the water. We didn't just push it away. So this area, we might come back in the early winter, see what other debris may have came down, or maybe this might freeze up. It seems like it's already getting super cold. Flowing good. Here's what this side looked like before, and here's what it looks like after. The other side, I think we're gonna see much more of a difference. Here's what the other side looked like before, and here's what it looks like after. Got a good amount of flow going. Time to get out of here. I hope I'm just parked weird. One of my tires looks pretty low. So this road 2 months ago, I still see the water line very clearly on that tree to the left that we just went by, very clearly on the giant trees. I'm still driving within where it was flooded. Somewhere right around here is where we come out of the water. I've never seen such a water line like that before. On every single tree. It takes a while for trees to become stained. Now, if it was a different type of flood, like that water there slowly rose up. It wasn't super dirty, muddy water. Those stains are just left because it was there for so long. Like back in July, I think it was, when we visited Vermont after their huge floods, I drove around the downtown of their capital and you could see mud stains on all the buildings because it was flooded. But it was only flooded there for, I believe, less than 2 days. So those stains there probably will wash off, but it left stains on everything because it was super muddy and it was actually destroying so much stuff, eroding things. Here, this was pretty clean water since it slowly went up and it slowly fell. It wasn't muddy and nasty. Hold on. I'm backing up because I see a lot of water down this road. Probably just a big puddle, but whenever I see something like that, I want to investigate if maybe there's a pipe that's clogged. Just by the lay of the land, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's just a puddle. That's also how I usually locate culvert pipes. You just look at the lay of the land, because usually every dip will have one, but this is not a dip. The dip is actually up here. There's probably a pipe right here. That's how I usually find pipes I can't see. You just gotta read the land and know where they would be. So we have a pipe here. Well, the drainage ditches end right there, so I'm assuming, yes, it's one that is only for drainage. It has nothing to do with a stream. You see how all these roads we're driving down have rock walls? 100 years ago, this was all farms. Every time the farmer would find a rock, they'd move it over to the side and build all these walls. The soil around here is very rocky. There's so much granite in New England, especially the northern part. And we're in northern Massachusetts. As you go down south into like Connecticut, you don't find it as often, but it's still pretty abundant. Turn around in here. You can tell this used to be a logging road. Look how rotten the log is that they blocked the road off with before it had trees growing in it. And I hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Hey everyone, today we're heading into Connecticut, going to visit the Connecticut beaver swamp, see if anything built back. Earlier this year, after they kept getting hit by cars, I reported the location to the EPA, and they had the beavers trapped and moved within a week. Every other attempt to come out here during the summer, there was never anything found there. So maybe they're still relocated, but they're very close to a really big swamp where I'm sure more beavers will eventually find it and plug it up. Right now we're following a truck with, it looks like two, because there's some in front of the others. There's two 3-foot pipes and two 4-foot pipes. The reason they have a small one on the bottom is because a wide load permit would probably cost way more than the culvert even is worth itself. And it's unnecessary if anyone would ask that question. That's the same reason a lot of times gigantic excavators are cheaper than the small ones if you buy them secondhand, because it costs so much money, the wide load permits, to move it around. That's why you can go on like Craigslist and find a massive excavator for cheaper than a used tiny one. It's not necessarily worn out, it's a pain in the butt to own if you're someone who owns a construction company and has to keep moving it around. I'm not this close either. I'm very zoomed in just to look at the truck with culverts. You can tell how big the pipes are, every time someone drives by it. Yeah, we're pretty far back. And we have arrived at the Connecticut beaver swamp. Here we are. How are the water levels looking? They don't look elevated at all. Maybe slightly, but I don't think we're gonna find anything. Just doing a quick update while we're in the area. Still got the big high boots on just in case, because we were just in Massachusetts, northern Massachusetts, about 2 hours ago. Hear a bunch of happy birds. Got some beautiful oak tree leaves. That's what all that is over there. Beautiful red oak trees. Get on to the other side. Fish or something just jumped. Yeah, we don't have anything. Seems this beaver issue has been resolved. Usually this whole area is flooded. One time the structure I'm standing on was even underwater when it was crossing over the road, the first time I ever discovered it. And the old beaver deceiver thing there hasn't been installed in years. That was sticking out of here. And it had filters on the ends, which people obviously took them because they were easy to walk off with. That metal post right there is where it was attached to. And that's supposed to stop the beavers. They want the beaver to clog up around where that pipe is entering, but hopefully Yeah, that tricks the beaver for a little while. Give them a few months. They'll clog it up or chew right through it, opening it, then clogging it. Right here, this is a view of that culvert's right down there. This all backed up where you couldn't see too. This all was underwater. That's why it's a grassy area now. And it looks like there's still a lot of mud, so it'll remain a grassland for a while. First time I ever came out, there was a bunch of debris here, mostly clothing, a broken down tent. There used to be like a little homeless camp or something here. There's still a couple of chairs. I remember I picked up all the garbage, put it next to the road, and the DOT just kept throwing it back over onto the edge of the woods. Eventually, after spray painting the giant pile orange, they took it. This little gradual stream looks kind of nice. This all used to be flooded. I remember one time there was so much water here. I walked out on that log. This is pretty. What kind of berries are these? Walking back out to the road, look at the thorns on this tree. The thorns are huge. Sharp. All right, everyone, we are done here at this location. I don't think there'll be a problem here again since they moved all the beavers. I hope today's video was interesting, everyone. Thanks for watching and have a great day.